Everyone knows the Twilight Zone, even if you've never seen an episode. Everyone knows the theme song. Everyone knows the iconic mood and posture of Rod Sterling at the start and end of every episode. And everyone knows there's going to be a big twist.
Oh, a colony is coming. But it's from Venus. And if you're still alive, I think you'll see how we differ.
How can a show that was on the air over 60 years ago still be relevant today? Through the legacy it left with young filmmakers and storytellers who grew up with the show and either took inspiration, adaptation, or poked fun at it. So let's take a look at who and what was inspired by the Twilight Zone and how it became a legacy. The easy and most mainstream inspiration would be The Simpsons' yearly Treehouse of Horror in the early seasons. For example, Bart's Nightmare, where everyone can't step out of line because Bart controls them, is an episode called It's a Good Life.
And did I mention that the monster is a 10-year-old boy? Quite a twist, huh? Bet you didn't see that one coming.
Good morning. Morning.
Good morning, dear.
You dirty little monster. You murderer. You think about me. Go ahead, Anthony. You think bad thoughts about me.
Slowly, slowly, don't make a sound, don't even think, because he can hear your thoughts. Then when he's least expecting it, bash his head in with a chair. End of monster.
Bart!
Lisa did it.
Or Clown Without Pitty, where Homer gets Bart a Krusty doll, is like the Living Doll episode.
Oh, and I'm going to kill you.
Didn't even pull the string that time.
I said I'm going to kill you. You, Homer Simpson!
Oh, yeah? With what?
My name is Talkie Tina, and I'm beginning to hate you.
And my personal favorite, Terror at 5.5 Feet, where Bart sees a goblin on the side of the bus, is like Nightmare at 20,000 feet.
Niles, wake up. Quick, look out the window.
No way, Bart!
Fun fact, that's a young William Shatner right there. The Simpsons brought the Twilight Zone to a whole new generation like me without even knowing it.
Everybody, there's a monster on the side of the bus!
There are also movies that expand on the idea of an episode and flesh it out. I just referenced The Living Doll, and we all know what I'm about to say.
Good night, Chucky.
Another episode called 22, where a woman buys a plane ticket but has a feeling the plane is going to explode during takeoff and doesn't get on it. Sound familiar? And I am just scratching the surface here. The Twilight Zone ran from 1959 until 1964 and wouldn't be touched again until 1983 with bringing the concept to the big screen. Directors attached were Joe Dante, John Lattis, George Miller, and the man himself in his prime, Steven Spielberg. The movie was received well, adapting older episodes into more fleshed out ones and new episodes as well. That 2 years later, the show would be rebooted for television that ran from 85 to 89, which was successful as well. A second and another successful attempt at rebooting the show would take place in the early 2000s, airing back-to-back episodes each week. Sounds like a burnout? It only lasted a year, but aired 43 episodes within that year. Jordan Peele has made a name for himself with Get Out and Us recently. If you're a fan of The Twilight Zone, You can clearly see Jordan is a huge fan and took plenty of inspiration to the point where he rebooted the show for a third time in 2019. I've only seen one episode because I'm not paying for that CBS streaming service, but from reviews, people seem pretty negative about season 1 as of now. I think the show is getting a second season, but who knows what the future of the Twilight Zone is.
Into the Twilight Zone.
Bouncing off Jordan, other directors and writers that took inspiration from the Twilight Zone would be J.J. Abrams with his show Lost, or M. Night Shyamalan with movies like The Sixth Sense or The Village. Writer Gene Roddenberry, creator of Star Trek, stated that the show inspired him to create his own show. And Stephen King as well talks about how the Twilight Zone helped him become a writer. The Twilight Zone also introduced the idea of the anthology television series where each season or even episode is a totally different story with different characters and settings. Modern shows that adapt this idea are like American Horror Story, Love, Death, and Robots, and the genius Black Mirror, which in my opinion is the closest modern day Twilight Zone we will ever get. This video is just scratching the surface of what the Twilight Zone has inspired, but looking at it you can see that Hollywood loves the show. Hell, there is even a ride at Disney World called Tower of Terror that is connected to the show. The show has become immortal, and that is what makes something also become a legacy. The Twilight Zone has become a phrase.
It sounds like something out of the Twilight Zone, but it's true, all right?
From Mad Men, a gumbo served almost exclusively in the Twilight.
Hey, who the hell is that? I bet he took the trophy. Get him! Where you going, Sally?
Hey, is that the Twilight Zone you're watching?
Yeah?
Oh, this is a good one.
Mr. Ventura.
There's someone on the way. Something.
You're entering a realm which is unusual. Maybe it's magic, or contains some kind of monster. The second one. Prepare to enter the scary door.
Tales. The story you're about to see happened on one very weird and unusual day when the town crossed over into the tidal zone.
What exactly did you see?
And what became of Grim and Mandy, you ask?
Excuse me? Who are you?
Well, I'm the narrator. I tell the story.
You know, this is like that Twilight Zone where the guy wakes up and he's the same and everybody else is different.
Which one?
They were all like that.
That it's so common, it is still mainstream today. So the next time you're watching a mystery, sci-fi, thriller, or a horror film TV show, you gotta wonder, did the Twilight Zone do it first?